talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuff and things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Samwell, that's what I was trying to think of yesterday. Not Somwell. Samwell is what they've been calling him. And they can call him, look, whatever he wants to be called right now. My God, man. That was an absolute rope off the bat of Samuel Basallo. As the Orioles put up 6 last night, win 6-3 over the Red Sox, and continue this hot streak. Don't know what to make of it. It's not going to get them back in the playoff race, but it's pleasant.
Well, if they never lose again, maybe.
I guess that's true, if they never lose again. 108.3 miles an hour as he goes up to get that one out of the zone and slaps it through. Very impressive piece of hitting from Samuel Basallo. Good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And, yeah, what do we say about it? I don't know. Nice to win 5 out of 6 against a stretch of teams that are pretty good in the Mariners, Astros, and Red Sox. Winning road trip, that's fun. These are fun things. As we said, we were never at the place where we were like rooting for them to start losing purposely because they couldn't get back like in the contention for the number 1 pick. So we hadn't really gone fully that way. You still want to see these positive signs. I keep talking about the core Orioles, or the Corioles, if you will.
Oh, you come up with that?
Just a.
That's why you do what you do. Huh?
Yeah, these are my skills. Can't practice law. Can't help someone medically. What I can do is combine the words core and Orioles. I know you're proud, Dad. So you do want to see them produce. You do want to see them perform. You do want to see those things that are going to give you a greater feeling that perhaps this will be the anomaly when we look back on this stretch and that next year the ship will be righted. We don't know that yet, but there are positive signs. Perhaps nothing more positive than the continued performance of one Trevor Rogers. Holy S. Trevor Rogers last night, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Trevor Rogers pitching to a 1.41 ERA. And it's that thing where, like, the sample size is no longer very small anymore. As Jake McCalvin-Meyer points out, since May 24th. Now, again, he went back down briefly after that initial start in Boston. But since May 24th, Trevor Rogers, that 1.41 ERA, better than the Cy Young frontrunners in either league. Tarek Skubal, 2.14. Paul Skeens, 2.00. It's actually historic what Trevor Rogers is doing. It's not just in the context of other pitchers this year. Like, we've never really seen a stretch like this from Trevor Rogers. There's another one that Griffin put up from MLB stats, and we'll just sort of go through some of these and react to them. 173 pitchers, 60-plus innings. Best ERA of all of them, Trevor Rogers, 1.41. The number that I knew they threw up on the broadcast last night was the through 12 starts as an Oriole. Yeah. Previously, the best ERA through 12 starts had been 1.50, belonging to Hoyt Wilhelm, or as Griffin likes to call him, Hoyt Willem. Hoyt Willem Dafoe.
I mean, yeah. So
Jim Palmer.
maybe he should have gone by
This guy. Who's that guy? Trevor Rogers now with the best ERA through 12 starts as an Oriole at 1.41. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. I don't know how to talk to our kids about it. I don't know how to say, I don't think Trevor Rogers is going to be the greatest pitcher of a generation, but it's not 4 to 5 starts we're talking about. We're talking about 12 starts. Like, there's a body of work here. Steve Molesky points out it's not just Trevor Rogers. Orioles starting pitching in general has been much better of late. Obviously, we saw Tomo Sagano last week, Brandon Young, what he did on Friday, Dean Kramer on Sunday. Through the last 4 games, starter ERA 0.39. The last, is that 6 games? 8 games. 0.91. And the last 11 games, 8 quality starts, 1.79 ERA. And there are reinforcements coming.
You say?
Kyle Bradish, scheduled to pitch for the Baltimore Orioles sometime next week. They don't know exactly when yet, but sometime next week, Kyle Bradish scheduled to make his Major League debut for the Orioles in 2025. I don't want to get too carried away because, again, it's not going to change anything about the reality of the Orioles. It's really about the way we feel about the Orioles at the end of the season and the belief that we have that they might, again, just be a couple of pieces away, which is something that we had talked about over the course of the last couple of months. Were the Orioles a piece or two away, which is what we felt they were at the end of last year? 3 weeks ago, I would have told you, no, I don't think they're a piece or two away. And to be fair, I still don't think they're a piece or two. I think it's more like 5 or 6, but not necessarily 5 or 6 high-ticket items. Kyle Bradish comes back and pitches well. You're still going to have the it's always something feeling with Kyle Bradish, and we'll get back to it's always something with someone else. But you can start to look at a rotation and say, hey, if you can go get a high-ticket item, and I know everybody's hot and bothered about Framber Valdez at the moment. If you can go get a high-ticket item, maybe one other starting pitcher, and then pair them with Trevor Rogers, perhaps Kyle Bradish, a 5th spot in the rotation that could be determined by Dean Kramer, Grayson Rodriguez, maybe a return of Zach Eflin, maybe. You can start convincing yourself that there's something there. But as we said before, they can't go into the season with 5 starting pitchers. It's why, to me, Cade Povich is your 9th starting pitcher. He's not one of your backup plans because you're going to need your backup plans. Your 6th starting pitcher is one of your starting pitchers. And I can't go into next year with Cade Povich being one of the starting pitchers. Your 7th starting pitcher is probably one of your starting pitchers. I mean, it's the reality of pitching in baseball at this point. Can you convince yourself of that? I mean, the way they played the last week, you want to. You want to. There's still a ways to go. And we could wake back up next week and say, hey, that was a fun week, but then it wasn't. But you can convince yourself that they can get back on track.
Right. I don't know why it feels different. Like it has felt like earlier in the year, there's been the weeks where they win 4 games or something, but you it didn't feel like that was who they were. This feels like they're playing with a different kind of energy and like it feels like they have
part
confidence
part of it
again.
is the Orioles thing. Part of it is this is the group. You're not watching someone who's not going to be a part of it. That's what makes this time of the year interesting. We're going to talk to Peter Schmuck, who wrote about that for BaltimoreBaseball.com. It's what I wrote about for PressBox this week. Like this is here. The guys that are gone, save for Sagano, right? Like, and maybe Sagano's back, but it doesn't seem. I don't know. I have no idea if Sagano's back. But save for Sagano, you're watching next year's team. Maybe Ryan Mountcastle gets moved in the offseason. But the core group of guys are a part of this. So it really does change the way that you feel about what you're watching. What you're watching is the group that might be the difference for next year. And that makes it a little more interesting. It's hard to define. Because, most of these guys were already here. The only thing that really changed was the arrival of Basallo and the arrival of Dylan Beavers and some more at-bats for Kobe Mayo. But this is the whole of it. The whole of it is the group of guys that are going to be part of it next year. And you feel like you're watching, maybe the comparison somebody would bring up would be the 09 Buck Showalter team.
Or the
10.
11, right?
10. It was 11 the Andino year, but
10
was when Showalter showed up and brought winning with him. And then it was ironic because 11 didn't really follow that up, save for the final night of the season. But the comparison is something that feels like maybe you can build off of it, and it might point you in a direction. It might be something real that you can fall back on in the future. Will it be? I don't know. I don't know. Again, to be determined. But could be, and that's what makes it interesting. Speaking of interesting last night, Gunnar Henderson had an interesting evening. As early on in the game, Trevor Story, it's not illegal. He could still reach the base, but yeah, it's pretty bogus. Again, courtesy of Masson. Trevor Story sliding directly towards Gunnar Henderson's left leg. I think Gunnar Henderson had every reason to not like the slide. Trevor Story would tell you, hey, man, that's a legal slide. I'm just trying to do whatever I can do as a baseball player to break up a double play, and I'm still allowed to do that because I can still reach the bag. So, not personal, Chief. That's just baseball. There's a bigger topic to be had about whether baseball should further litigate that and say, hey, we don't want that to be we never want to see a runner sliding into a player. It doesn't matter how close you are to a bag. If it is clear that you are sliding into a player, we should be getting that out of the game. That's a baseball conversation. It's not germane to the subject. What is germane to the subject is it did seem to piss Gunnar Henderson off. And as everybody had fun with, it was the triple. Of course, he hit the home run before that. And then this, I guess they called it a triple. Was it really a triple or was it a double and an error? Whatever. They called it a triple. That's all that matters. Scored Jackson Holiday later in the game to make it 3-0. But yes, he got them on the board with the home run. Gunnar Henderson, a couple of extra base hits after the slide from Trevor Story. Now, if you're Trevor Story, what did you learn? What did you learn? And what are you not going to do next time? Maybe not awake the beast, or preferably do, if you don't mind. Nice to see Gunnar Henderson hitting home runs. We like that. That's an encouraging sign towards perhaps Gunnar Henderson next year being the MVP caliber player that the Orioles need him to be for this whole thing to work. Lots of good. Unfortunately, not all good. Just no way around it. And when we get back into the it's always something conversation, the frustrating part is, as we said yesterday, and who are we having this conversation with yesterday? Bordick, right?
Yeah, Bordick.
That of this Coriol group, how many are proven currently high-level Major League Baseball players? I said it's 2. It's Gunnar and it's Westburg. And as Bordick said immediately afterwards, and I in my column even wrote this, it's Westburg when he's healthy. And you hate that that's the conversation. You hate it. But that is the conversation. It's Westburg when he's healthy. And unfortunately, once again last night, after Ryan Mountcastle singles to left center field, Jordan Westburg, awkward turn, has to leave the game. And it's the collective groan of, dude, you're too good of a baseball player. It can't keep happening like this. It just can't keep being the case for Jordan Westburg. Tony Mansolino, Orioles interim manager, did provide an update following the game about Jordan Westburg, and it appears to be good news. Here's what, again, courtesy of Masson, here's what Tony Mansolino had to say about his second baseman. So hopefully that is the case, and Jordan Westburg is all right this time because, boy, it is really tough. It is really tough when he keeps dealing with it. But a very good night of baseball. Awfully fun night. Orioles, win. And yes, John, I agree. Like, based on the rules, that is a clean slide. I think the question is, for baseball, what should the rule be? And I don't know the answer to what the rule should be. Because I get that double plays aren't supposed to be easy. It's why I was in favor of getting rid of the neighborhood play. I thought the neighborhood play was bogus. You have to be on second base. It's not supposed to be easy to turn 2 outs on the same play. But you also do want to protect the players. We're all watching the games to see the players. And the danger of Gunnar Henderson being taken out on a slide where we know what the purpose of the slide is. Even if it's legal and clean, we know what the purpose is. And that's the tough part about that conversation. It's bad, not just for the Orioles, it's bad for baseball if you lose Gunnar Henderson on a play that I don't know is necessary to the sport. I understand why Trevor Story does it, but is it a necessary play? Deeper conversation. I got no anger at Trevor Story myself. I get Gunnar Henderson being pissed off. I get it. Because he's worried about himself. He's not worried about the Red Sox. He's not worried about Trevor Story. He's worried about himself. I just think it's a bigger baseball conversation that needs to be had because we watch the game for these guys. And I get it. I get it. Trevor Story did nothing wrong inherently. But that's not going to make us feel any better if Gunnar Henderson were going to be out for the rest of the season. That's just the reality. Yes?
I just want to go over the other news. I guess the only other somewhat news from yesterday. I guess we kind of knew what the.
You wanted to give the update about D-size. Well, I was, okay, we can do that. I was going to stay on sure. I was going to stay on baseball just because we're leading into Peter Schmuck. And
I know I wasn't sure if this was an A block.
No, I didn't think it.
Quick
fit in the A block. I think it could save.
All right.
Later,
All right. F me.
You gonna be all right?
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna be.
Griffin's really struggling with the adjustment to the new version of the show.
I am. Yeah.
It's really not that. It's okay, pal. It's okay.
Take a break.
We're ready to go.
I don't even know.
We did all that work before the show. This is the nice part about us coming in an hour early and having the time to prepare. It's all ready. We'll get to it. I swear. I promise. Trevor Rogers, of course, was man of the match. 6th time this season that Trevor Rogers goes up on the board, retakes the solo team lead. Man of the match is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia. Men of a certain age, you are struggling with something. For me, it was just sluggishness, feeling run down, not feeling like myself. I'm 40. I'll be 42 in 3 weeks, I guess. But I'm not 60. It didn't feel like I should feel like this. So I genuinely wondered if I was low T. And so I said I'd like to talk to somebody about that because I don't know what I've heard about it, but I don't know if I am. Turns out not the case, but I still felt sluggish and run down. They've got you covered. They'll give you a complimentary testosterone test. But if you're not low T, they can still help you. They put me on peptide treatment, and it has benefited me. There's no doubt about that. But it's not just that. It's performance issues in the bedroom, stubborn belly fat, things that maybe you didn't deal with when you were in your 20s that you're dealing with now when you're in your 40s as a man. They got you covered at Game Day Men's Health. GameDayMen'sHealth.com is the website. You can give them a call in Owings Mills, 443-264-4454. In Columbia, 443-266-3505. Or in Frederick, 240-931-3717 for Game Day Men's Health. Let's continue talking about the Orioles and how interesting they are at the moment. Joining us now, BaltimoreBaseball.com, longtime Baltimore sports writer, and our friend Mr. Peter Schmuck is back with us on GCR. Schmucker, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, Glenn, doing good. Just finally having something to watch in the evenings that's worth watching.
You know, it's funny, Peter, because Griffin asked me this question a minute ago, like, why does it feel different right now? And I really do feel like part of it is because you're looking at this group, and I've used the cheeky, it's very clever, Peter. I came up with the term Corioles. It's a combination of core and Orioles. You can tell why I'm thriving so well in my broadcast career because I can come up with terms like that. But like what you're watching, is the group. This is the group of players that's going to be here next year. They are performing well. It is that like microcosm of what it could be if they can right the ship a year from now, and it does make this kind of interesting, despite the fact that they're not going to be in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought the thing that Kevin Brown pointed out 2 days ago just kind of jumped out at me when he pointed out that Adley Rutschman was the oldest guy in the lineup, and he was 26, 27. He's 26. I'm not sure if he had his birthday yet, but
20, yeah.
but the idea of these 9 guys or whatever, going into next season, I don't know if they're a World Series team if they go into next season configured like this. I think they're definitely a playoff team because I think this year was an aberration caused by losing essentially almost your entire starting rotation for 2 years in a row and finally having no depth to cover for it or very little. I still think that, the off season will be an interesting one where I wonder, even though the Orioles have Tyler O'Neill, whether Mike Elias goes out and says, we got all these young guys. If there's a Schwarber-like hitter out there, not him, but somebody who you're going to be pretty sure is going to hit 35 to 40 home runs, so we can stick right in the middle of this to protect the first three guys, or 4 guys. We all can dream that that Trevor Rogers will be Trevor Rogers and that Brandon Young will be the guy that pitched a one-hitter for 8 1/3 innings the other night. And Dean Kramer can be in the first half what he is right now every second half. Kyle Bradish comes back and they have a starting rotation. And there'd be a lot of work to do this offseason to fix that bullpen. But, but to go back to your original point, it's just, there are people in other towns like Chicago who've been conditioned to appreciate the team regardless of whether it's going to the playoffs. And that's something that the Oriole fans are going to get to do now. It's been frustration for 3 or 4 months or 4 months. And now this is something, this is like, as I use the time-worn phrase to show why my career's close to over, it's must-see TV tonight. I can't wait for the game to start. I don't know about you.
No, I mean, look, last night with Trevor Rogers on the mound, I was genuinely it really felt like real. And Peter, I think that what you're alluding to is what do we make of all of this? And that's the part that I'm still not certain of, because what I would say is for all of the encouragement, I still feel like there are 2 proven high-level Major League Baseball players on the roster right now in Gunnar Henderson and Jordan Westburg, and that's Jordan Westburg when he's healthy, as we reminded last night. Like that's the there's still the knowns to me are still fewer than the unknowns as we try to put this thing towards what this is going to look like next year. But that does make it interesting, right? Like, we get to the end of this year, and Samuel Basallo is hitting like this at the major league level. We're going to start to feel something different at the end of the year about what he might be next year and whether he's viably in that Rookie of the Year conversation. It's an interesting combination of there's intrigue, but not necessarily, to me, known commodities.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm certainly concerned about Colton Cowser,
Yep.
and I know that, he broke his hand and he hit his head on a wall, and so maybe this is the year, this is going to be his bad year, and next year he comes back and figures a few things out that he needs to figure out at the plate. He can play the outfield. He can play center field. He wouldn't be your best range center fielder that this team's ever had, but he can play there, and you saw that last night. He knows he's savvy outfielder with a good arm. But that's a major concern. I hate to make light of it, but I'm just wondering last night if Jordan Westburg and Tyler O'Neill roomed together in the spring training. I feel terrible for Westburg because he is a real quality player, and you got to figure out why this is happening, because he could just be the unluckiest guy there is, or maybe it was like going around second base. Is that a little over hustle? I don't know. He's a gamer, and the sad thing is for a gamer to be sitting on the bench, and it's killing him. And I saw somebody, social media or whatever, saying that about why do you walk off the field and say I got to get off the field? Well, because he wants to be able to play for a whole season. He doesn't want to go out there and aggravate an ankle injury that'll take him even out of his off season. So he's doing the right thing. But it's hard to watch that because we all like him, and you see him play third base, and he's channeling Brooks sometimes, and that's fun to watch. And so you're right, there's a lot of question marks, but that's why this is interesting. Now we get into early in the season, and a bunch of guys are struggling, and some will, they're young guys. Then we got to you're going to have to be patient at times. I'd caution listeners. And readers, if I have any, at BaltimoreBaseball.com, by the way. But I caution readers to understand that right now every contending team that's going to come play the Orioles are furiously studying Samuel Basallo.
Right.
And he will have an 0 for 20 in the next 2 months.
Of course.
And people have to, on the next 6 weeks, people have to understand that. But what I like about him is he's absolutely unafraid. And he's super aggressive, and you can see he has what Ben likes to call bat to ball talent, meaning that even coming off he saw 5 different pitchers in his debut in 5 plate appearances, and he still got an RBI single, got on base when somebody tried to take his head off accidentally, but you see that this guy is not. I think I saw him fooled by 1 pitch in the last 2 days.
It's wild. I mean,
that's very encouraging.
No, it's incredible. I mean, the guy can swing, man. There's no doubt about it. Peter Schmuck is with us here on GCR. Schmucker, you are building the Orioles rotation for next year. Like, you got time on your hands now, so they just say you can build it. The first question they ask you is, you got to slot them in somewhere 1 through 5. Where are you slotting Trevor Rogers into the rotation for 2026, and then filling around him after that?
1.
You're not trying to do better than Trevor Rogers in the offseason?
Oh! You asked me to predict someone's going to be acquired.
I'm saying you're allowed to. This is a hypothetical world. This isn't the Orioles world. This is a hypothetical world. I'm trying to figure out what Trevor Rogers is.
Who falls? There's a lot of curiosity to me just in how they're handling it themselves here.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to give Zach Eflin a qualified offer?
I still think they can. I know that people push back and say $20 million is absurd for what he's been through, but the cost of pitching around baseball is it's $20 million for a flyer anymore. It's a 1-year thing. I'd probably be willing to take the risk.
I mean, if you're willing to give. If you're willing to give Charlie Morton, what did he get? 15?
15, yeah, right.
I mean, if you're willing to give 42-year-old guy, $15 million. Zach Eflin, they'll know by next year whether this surgery, they'll know within the next couple months how successful it is. They'll be able to know that. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, and there's some concern whether he'll come back and be able to pitch with I assume it sounds like a fusion of some kind they're doing in his back. So I don't know what the answer to that is. At this moment, I would slot Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers is the best pitcher in baseball right now.
He has been for 12 starts. I agree. Peter, I think this is the way that I've been struggling is it's how do I talk to my kids about it? Do I assume this is who Trevor Rogers is definitively? Like the Orioles have their guy? Or do I have to be a little reluctant about that because if we look back in baseball history, there's a lot of guys who had a really hot stretch of 10 to 15 starts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and he showed he could do this in his rookie year, and this is really impressive, and especially when you consider that he throws 93, 94. He's not throwing 98 miles an hour. He's just got great command right now, and he has a sneaky fastball. You can see a lot of guys swing through his fastball, and it's 92. So I don't know the answer to that, and I wouldn't assume anything. This team's lost. 12 pitchers, 12 starting pitcher seasons in the last 2 years. Yeah. I'm throwing that off the top of my head, but you get the idea.
Yep.
I don't know what the answer to that is. Everybody has pitching injuries. Dodgers have probably had that many this year. But you really can't have enough pitching, and it's very hard to sign a starting pitcher in the offseason. They should try. If there's somebody out there that is a bona fide ace, and will accept $200 million instead of $600 million or whatever its prices are going to be next time. I think you got to, if you want to be competitive immediately, you got to do something like that. I do think they need a little more power, another power bat.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I can't depend on Tyler O'Neill. If you could tell me and guarantee me he's going to play 140 games, he's going to hit 35 home runs if he plays 140 games. But when's that ever happened?
Would you go?
It's frustrating to watch. I feel sorry for him. I know he wants to play. He's not a malingerer. But it's still frustrating to watch.
Well, and they knew that when they signed him too. It didn't just pop up this year. Would you dive into the deep water of Framber Valdez at 32? He seems like he's going to be that type of guy that could push $175, $200 million. Would you dive into those waters if you were the Orioles?
It's not my money, so yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure, right. That's a good point. Easiest thing in the world to do.
At some point you have to, and I'm sure that David Rubenstein called up Elias, and when they heard that Corbin Burns was getting Tommy John surgery, to thank him for not spending $25 or $30 million for the next 2 years for nothing. And so who knows how that affects his first. Rubenstein's first 2 years of observing this closely might turn him into somebody who doesn't, want to spend over the budget of a middle market team. I don't know that. We don't know that yet. We can't know that yet because really last year there wasn't anybody that they were going to get unless they re-signed Burns. The guys who were really good, you knew where the top 3 or 4 go.
Yeah,
every year.
Boy, this is tough, right? Because it's I know that's true, Peter, and I know Max Fried was always going to go wherever they were going to offer the most money. It still just feels like there was a lot more of a middle market there for the Orioles pitching wise, that they just didn't. The Manayas of the world, the Pavettas of the world, that they just, for whatever reason, didn't dive into that middle market. And I think that's the frustrating part. And when we try to figure out what this team is going to be and their willingness to spend money, I think the frustration was way less that they didn't get Max Fried and way more that it was that or bust. It was either they're going to get Corbin Burns back or Charlie Morton and Tomo Sagano. What? How is there not an in-between in those areas? And aren't those the waters that a smaller market team that has this window needs to be swimming in?
Well, it's a fair question, and we're going to find out whether the philosophy has changed in the off season. It's still Mike Elias's team, And I'm pretty sure that Rubenstein is not making out the lineup card. And he doesn't. I don't think he has any 20-something sons who are doing it. Who are doing it at the dinner table.
Yep.
I don't want to I don't want to bring back too many bad memories.
I get it. Let me wrap with this. Who do you think's the manager of the 2026 Orioles, Peter?
I want it to be Buck Showalter.
I mean, who doesn't want it to be Buck Showalter?
I just think he moved it. He moved here. He lives here now.
His son's here. He's so happy whenever he's home, right?
I know.
I know you and I share this affinity for Buck, right? And I think anybody who knows Buck shares the affinity for Buck. He's just this impossible human being. I can't explain to people how good of a person I believe Buck to be. And
at the same time, he drives everyone where he works for crazy.
But what's funny about that? Buck and I were just talking about this 2 weeks ago. When he arrived, and obviously at the time, I was at NST, and so there was this inclination to the Orioles probably screwed it up, and that was the way that we were presenting things. So I'm reaching out to my friends in Arizona where I had previously worked, and they're all like, "Oh, dude, this guy's gonna drive you nuts. You're gonna hate. He's such a control freak. He's such a And the first interaction I ever had with him, I was like, wait. Are we talking about the same guy? I love this guy.
Once you got into the weeds, listen, I'm a huge Buck fan personally and professionally.
Yeah.
But once you got into the weeds with Buck, where you were with him every day, and then you could have other people would be flies on the wall, and you would find out that while he's patting you on the back for your scoop, he's telling somebody else that you're an asshole.
Sure. 100%.
Does what he has to do, and it's I get it. I've said that. I've told managers, I say, I don't care what you say about me behind my back. If you help me, I'll help you. You won't have a problem with me. And I've always got hey, listen, I think Tony Masalino's been fine, and the team's obviously playing better for reasons more not because of him, but he's here and they're playing better, so he's doing fine. I don't imagine they're going to hire him. And if they don't hire him, they need to keep him as a high-paid coach, because this gets kind of silly when you tell a guy, hey, you're going to be the interim manager, and then we're going to fire you after you do a good job.
No doubt.
Because we can't hire you because you're not a big name or whatever.
But do you want to force?
But at least don't just kick him out the door like happens everywhere else.
I agree with you, Peter. But do you want to force a new manager to have to if a new manager says I want to bring my people in and you think he's the right guy, don't you need to give him that leeway?
Yeah, but a new manager wants the job, and you say I want one guy to stay here.
I hear you, and you'd like to hope.
And I think he's well liked in the industry, so I don't think anybody's going to go, I don't want that guy around. He's not a threat. If they don't hire him, that means they're never going to hire him. So he's not a threat. They could hire him. I mean, that's a young team, and he seems to have bonded with them. But I watch, and there are things like any manager that I don't agree with, and I'm not a manager. So he's smarter than me when it comes to baseball, but the next time I see a nobody out contact play with a guy throwing out at home plate, I'm gonna crap my pants. I may have already done that because it's happened several times this year.
It's very frustrating. At Schmuck, don't crap your pants, pal. Don't do that. at Schmuck, BaltimoreBaseball.com. That's where you find him. Always appreciate you, brother. Thank you for spending time with us this morning.
All right, Glenn. Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
The great Peter Schmuck with us here on GCR. Crap in his pants. I didn't expect that from Schmucker. Just didn't see that coming. Today's show, a reminder, Stan the Fan, Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, they were talking baseball yesterday. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you missed it live, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's show is brought to you by the Costas Inn and the all-new Costas Inn, now open at the racetrack in Timonium. Gregg Rosenthal, NFL Network, joins us next. Glenn Clark Radio. Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't, I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantafalo's family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner, same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1975. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
Get ready, Baltimore. On Saturday, September 6th, the world's top pro cyclists return for the Maryland Cycling Classic, America's top pro road race. Cheer on elite men's and women's teams from around the globe as they battle it out on a brand new circuit through Charm City. Enjoy a free festival, fan zones, and all the action at Harbor Point and the Inner Harbor. Watch live on Maryland Public TV or join the live stream at marylandcyclingclassic.us. Don't miss the speed, the strategy, the spectacle. The Maryland Cycling Classic, September 6th in Baltimore.
This August, give your game day an upgrade at Live Casino. Enter to win an ultimate football package. We're giving away over $50,000 in game-changing prizes on Friday, August 29th. Earn entries daily for your chance to score a 100-inch TV, a state-of-the-art soundbar, and so much more. Don't sit on the sidelines. Make your play at Live Casino at Erndale Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR to continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Maryland 5-Star is back this October at Fair Hill. Get your tickets for the 5th Maryland 5-Star by going to Maryland 5-Star with the number 5, maryland5star.us. Yeah, I guess we'll talk some football with him, but you know the real reason why I'm having him on this week, it's because for the first time on Sunday, this Sunday, the U.S. Open gets underway, and boy, were we robbed yesterday of what should have been a delicious Monday afternoon Carlos Alcaraz-Jannik Sinner match. He is our friend, the host of NFL Daily, NFL Network, our buddy Gregg Rosenthal back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's very typical tennis to schedule one of the biggest hardcore matches of the season, the Cincinnati final, 5 days before the U.S. Open starts. And that's not why Jannik Sinner got sick, but somehow they deserved it. It's annoying.
I disagree with this. I think this was awesome, right? Like, I thought that they had found this thing that was going to lead into this perfect appetizer for the U.S. Open. You were going to get this Monday Sinner-Alcaraz match leading into this weird mixed doubles thing that they're doing at the U.S. Open that is getting more players to play. And I kind of thought it was all like a cool way to lead into the U.S. Open, and so I was really pissed off. Now, why they're playing a 3 o'clock match at a stadium that has, like, no shade, I don't understand that thought process at all. Like, that makes zero sense to me what that thought process is. But other than that, I thought it was a cool plan.
All right, I shouldn't be complaining. This is, my favorite tennis time of the season,
right.
And Also, one of my favorites, Iga Swiatek.
Yeah.
Two titles in the last year and a half, and they just happen to be Wimbledon and Cincinnati. Not bad.
Not bad. And she is the dominant favorite to me going into the U.S. Open again. Like she's reestablished herself as being the best player in the world. And the surface questions, I think she's handling some of them. I have no qualms at all about the idea that Iga's the favorite going into the U.S. Open.
I go Sabalenka, but I think it's great on the.
But Sabalenka can't win. She can't. What is the deal with Sabalenka?
I know, but she just wins every other match except for the final.
We have to start talking about this. We have to have a conversation about how she handles things. You and I had an in-depth conversation about the French Open final, and it was so eye-opening to me that day how dramatically more dominant physically Sabalenka was, but how small she came up in those moments that, like, I just don't know when that's going to change for her at this point.
It's why tennis to me is, the most fascinating sport, because it's one-on-one, and you can be the most dominant player, you can be the best player, which I think she, is. And then when it's all mental, and you just have to be better than your opponent that day. And Coco Gauff, our American champion, is a perfect example of that, because to me, she's sort of misunderstood. To me, she is the ultimate grinder, the ultimate overachiever.
Yep.
Like she is actually not quite as talented tennis-wise as so many of her contemporaries, but she can grind her way into some big titles, even in a year where she's struggling otherwise, including right now. Coco's not looking great.
100%. Like, she is not the physical specimen that, Serena was, that Sabalenka is. But my God, does she figure out she solves problems when they're presented to her somehow. And Aryna Sabalenka does the exact opposite of that, which is the moment she runs into a problem, even before it's a problem, she creates the problems. Like, everything's going fine largely, and she just melts down in those moments. It's wild to watch, and it's why I can never think that she's the favorite going into a slam, because I just assume she's going to do it again, man. That's the way that I operate with Aryna Sabalenka until proven otherwise.
It's a great point too, but I like having dominant top twos on both sides, and then you have everyone else kind of trying to catch up to those two.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. With that said, I also think it's different on the women's and the men's, where I do think it's possible that it's not one of Iga or Aryna on the women's side. I don't see any world, unless this stomach virus stays with Jannik Sinner for another week, that we don't know exactly who the two are on the men's side.
So I will disagree just because of history. So fans of the U.S. Open, who just watched the U.S. Open might not realize, like, the U.S. Open on really both sides, but especially the men's side, is the craziest results Grand Slam that we have.
Yes.
And it's partly because it's at the end of a long season, of a long condensed summer that it just happened after Wimbledon. Players are tired. The Americans definitely get a lift in this tournament too. And, it's a tournament that we saw Federer and Djokovic and, not Nadal, like those guys struggled in this tournament, and you get more random champions. So if ever there was going to be a Ben Shelton finals appearance against, like, Zverev, this would be the tournament. I'm not expecting it, but it wouldn't shock me if, like, one of Alcaraz or Sinner aren't there, because, Alcaraz especially hasn't always been there in the past.
Only because of the nature of the tournament will I agree, but you're really hard-pressed to tell me who's beating one of those guys right now. Like, I just don't see it whatsoever from that field. But I'm still mad that we didn't get it yesterday. That would have been really nice. Would have been really, really nice. All right, I guess we have to legally talk about football. Do you have anything else that you're thinking about going into the U.S. Open? Because as much as I want to believe that, like, there's a Ben Shelton run coming, and, like, he's the one American that it feels like it is, at least his game is in that form, specifically based on how he played in Toronto, I still think there's just too much separation between he and those top two guys.
Yeah, it's just harder on the men's side because it's 3 out of 5 sets versus 2 out of 3, which is another reason why I was excited to see Sinner and Alcaraz in that format. Just a shorter format it would have been a nice kind of appetizer. But Shelton, I think, is making every progress that you would want him to make to be the American man to break through at some point. Alcaraz and Sinner can't win every single Grand Slam over the next 8 years. Like, I am putting the over-under on, Ben Shelton Grand Slams at 1.5, something like that, or at least a half. Like, I expect it to happen because I think he's good enough, and they can't win every single one. Like, it's a long career, Glenn. It's going to happen at some point.
You say that, but I feel like a few years ago, you and I were having a conversation. I was like, I'm pretty sure Tsitsipas is going to get one at some point. I think I'm pretty sure we listed off an entire group of names of guys that were going to win slams, and they haven't all done that. So.
I think Shelton's stronger mentally, so that's just my gut.
Right
I'm hoping.
All right, Gregg Rosenthal with us on GCR. Why in all hell would the Indianapolis Colts start Daniel Jones at quarterback? Like, what? How does this make even remote sense for that franchise?
They just don't, believe in Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen. I think the moment, and I've heard this behind the scenes, that Richardson took himself out of that game last year, which from the outside seems like an overreaction, but I don't think it played well with his coach, who already I think had his doubts on Anthony Richardson. Look, they said a lot when they gave Daniel Jones $14 million, when they made it clear, there was an even battle going in, and in hindsight, it wasn't an even battle. It was Daniel Jones's job to lose. It is an act of desperation. I don't think it's going to work, but they truly believe that Daniel Jones has a better chance of saving all their jobs than Anthony Richardson, which makes no sense to me. I guess if you're shooting for 7 wins instead of 5, in theory, that makes sense, but it's not like Daniel Jones has shown a high level of football over the last few years.
I guess my question would be, if the problem was it was never going to work again with Anthony Richardson, why didn't you go get a real quarterback?
Yep.
Right? Like,
I agree. Or trade him.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think he could be traded in the next week. But why didn't you trade him earlier? Like, if you had that little belief in him.
That makes zero sense to me. Obviously, Joe Flacco was always going to be the quarterback in Cleveland, and it sets up what will be a fun week here in Baltimore in week 2 when he returns for the first time. But what does the rest of that picture look like to you in Cleveland? Like, is it they keep sticking by Dylan Gabriel's the guy behind him, and that's the way it's going to be? Like, at some point, I assume this season the Browns will fall out of favor, and one of those guys is going to need to play so they can figure out if they have a quarterback behind him.
Right, and I think Gabriel right now is first in line because, again, you look at the coaches. I think Stefanski ultimately must have had the biggest hand in taking Gabriel first between him and Shedeur, but they both look pretty good in their 2 preseason appearances, so that's something to build off. And if I had to guess, Flacco will start, as long as he's healthy, or as long as they're not, 4 games under 500. But either way, that's probably going to come in October, and we both probably see both rookies during the season at some point.
I think that makes sense. The 3 guys that still linger that are interesting, how does this play out? Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin.
It's funny because you hear some, I think, Washington front office fueled stuff that, quote, from The Athletic today, that no one thinks Terry McLaurin should or will get the money that he's seeking. And then you hear from other people, like, they're really not that far away. Like, this is all just negotiating. McLaurin, I think, is going to happen sooner than later.
Okay.
Michael will happen in the last week of the season. The Hendrickson one is the only one with some real intrigue that I have heard that other teams are sniffing around. If the asking price is a first-round pick plus a good defensive player, like, that's not going to happen. But I have heard some proposals, some people talking of, like, would they take a second-round pick and a decent player? And I've heard a couple teams that might be interested. The Patriots would be one of them. Like,
right.
If the Bengals are serious about this, I think they could get a decent offer. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why would the Bengals do this? Ultimately, I don't think they want to do this. I think they want to get a deal done.
I mean, I guess the answer would be, like, you didn't have a defense before. Why bother having a defense now, right? Like, you had Trey Hendrickson and your defense stunk. So
sure.
How much worse could it be without him, I guess, is the only question that you could ask. Like, you're going to have to score 50 points a game no matter what if you're the Bengals.
Right, but, like, if you're insisting, well, we want, if it's the Bills, we want to get Joey Bosa back, or if it's the Patriots, we want to get Kyle Duggar back. Like, they are trying to win this year, because not making the playoffs 2 straight years with Joe Burrow playing at this level, to me, is a cry for help and a cry for that regime to change. Like, even if they go 9-8 or something, it's like, how are you not making the playoffs with Joe Burrow? That's an organizational failure.
I have seen the future. The Kansas City Chiefs are not in the Super Bowl this year. That's because what other AFC team finally knocked them off? Mm-hmm. Oh, did we?
Hey, I got you now. I got you now. You were asking who
I said I've seen the future. It's not the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's because what other AFC team finally dethroned them?
Well, I hope this doesn't give your listeners a bad vibe, but the Ravens are going to be my Super Bowl pick this year.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, I have a long history of success. No, that's not true. I had the Bills last year.
Greg, I'm in a weird spot because definitively to me, the Ravens, if weighted for quarterback, right? Because if not weighted for quarterback, if all positions are made equal, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL, right? But if weighted for quarterback, then to me, objectively, the Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. Like, I don't think there's a debate about that.
Wow.
If weighted
That's
for
bold.
no.
I think there's a debate.
If weighted for quarterback, what would the argument be?
I think the Lions have an amazing roster. That's going to be my other Super Bowl team that I pick, and they have a good quarterback.
And that's the thing, though. I love the Lions roster, but the Ravens quarterback is so much better than the Lions quarterback that, again, if weighted for quarterback, if I'm saying quarterback is 40 to 50% of the equation, which is, I think, where we are in the NFL at this point, then I just don't think it becomes close, does it?
I guess I just wouldn't weight it that high. We just had a Super Bowl where Jalen Hurts
that is
outplayed
fair,
Patrick
right?
Mahomes.
That is fair.
You know, and I think Jared Goff, if everything around him is right, that roster is awesome. The Eagles roster is really great, and you know. And when you do weight it for quarterback, the Chiefs roster to me is not at like a different level of the Ravens. It's at the same level.
Because you're giving Patrick Mahomes the edge still, that makes up for some of their deficiency. Like I can listen to that. I can listen to that. And it's a better group of
better offensive line.
I agree with that. It's a comparable defensive front. There's probably a strong and again giving a little bit of an edge at quarterback to the Chiefs. So why do you think this is the year the Ravens finally break through that?
I know I start arguing against my own argument there.
Right.
Ultimately, like I do agree with you. I'm just saying that to me it's not a no argument debate. It's not just that they're knocking on the door each and every time. I think Lamar Jackson has become even better at what he does, which is amazing. He is at his absolute peak. I have less questions about the defense than I have going into the previous few years. I like year two of Zach Orr, that there's a little bit of continuity there. I like the depth in terms of the skill position players. The offensive line is probably my number one question still for the Ravens. And, I just add it all up, and I don't want to pick the Bills again. I had them in the Super Bowl last year. I don't want to pick the Chiefs. I really do think the Ravens are the most likely, and that the Lions in the NFC would be the next most likely, along with the Eagles there.
Remind everybody about NFL Daily.
We're like 5 days a week. We're doing too much right now. I'm also doing some season preview shows with Daniel Jeremiah, a little podcast that we're calling 40s and Free Agents, so that's fun too. So that's coming out.
Of course. And then is there anything else that I need to plug for you?
That's it. That's more than enough.
At Gregg Rosenthal. That's how you follow him on everything. Love you, buddy. We'll be talking. See you, pal. Gregg Rosenthal. We should actually make our text thread during slams a Substack and charge people for it, because we probably do more work on our text thread than we do our actual jobs. Legitimately. It's probably not good.
Would your bosses not be happy about that?
Yeah, they wouldn't be thrilled. They wouldn't be thrilled. Well, I don't know. No. We don't say anything that's inappropriate.
Well, I mean, just because you're not focusing on
the amount of time we're spending on a simple text thread amongst friends, probably not healthy. Way too much time that we spend during slams. Less typically during the U.S. Open, because I'm back to doing play-by-play. He's back to football season, so it's a little bit less during the U.S. Open, but it's
you're walking back. I see.
It's still not nothing. Still not nothing. One Ravens note, as Griffin alluded to earlier, John Harbaugh did offer an update yesterday at practice about Adisa Isaac's status, and the news is not particularly good. Here's what.
There was some ligament damage in there with the dislocated elbow. If it had been a dislocated elbow clean, it would have been about 3 weeks. Since it's not, it's going to have to undergo surgery. It's not a season ender, though. Maybe midway in the season sometime, he'll have a chance to come back.
So this does impact a little bit some of the scenarios we talked about yesterday. Like, one of the scenarios I had talked about was if they were set on the 5 guys that were making the team, and the plan was going to be to trade David Ajabo, that perhaps losing Adisa Isaac for 4 weeks wouldn't alter that plan. They'd say, look, Adisa Isaac's going to be back in a little bit. If this was the thought process before, we're not going to change our thought process just because of the Adisa Isaac injury. But if he's going to be out for half of the season or more, that might alter plans. And, you do keep in mind then that, by the time, even if he comes back, someone else might be hurt. So, if we had an Ojabo meter, and I don't think we're going to do that. The jobometer? The jobbing out. Jobbing out. If we did that, I would say that this...
I guess it's just Ojabometer.
Ojabometer, yeah. This would bump that. Yesterday, what John Harbaugh said would bump up my Ojabometer. Just because I do think that losing Adisa Isaac for more of the year creates more doubt about having the group that you wanted to have. Again, it might very well be that the entire time they were planning on keeping David Ojabo anyway. But if the thought was, we know who the 5 guys are, we know there's a team that's willing to trade for David Ojabo, we're going to make that trade because we still just don't think that David Ojabo fits into the plans all that much. And even as the 5th edge rusher on the team, he doesn't play special teams. There's just kind of no point. If that was the case, then I could see that a 4-week injury probably wouldn't alter those plans. But if it's something longer than that, I would think that might alter those plans. So that's it. That was just the thought that I had there. They did make a roster move yesterday because they've been dealing with so many injuries in the secondary, and they did bring in a veteran. One other note, Emory Jones, finally confirmation he won't be on the team to start the season. He's going to be on NFI, non-football injury related. And then Thomas Graham, veteran defensive back, was signed, and they have just been going through a bunch of injuries in the defensive backfield, and the consensus seems to be that all those guys are going to be okay. Jair Alexander hasn't been practicing, Chidobe Awuzie, none of those are lingering into the year. This is just to get them through one more preseason game and a week worth of practice. So that's the thought process there. And we talked about Joe Flacco with Gregg Rosenthal. It's going to be a neat week. The Ravens will inevitably do something, some sort of video tribute or something, I have no doubt. It's a little bit different in football than it is in baseball. We've always talked, in baseball, when the Mets come back to Baltimore, there's undoubtedly, the Orioles are going to do something really nice for Cedric Mullins, although, do they not?
No, because they already played. The Mets played that week.
So wherever Cedric Mullins is next year, when he comes back to Baltimore, they'll do something very nice for him.
Ramon Arias, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. He'll probably get recognition of some sort. I don't know if they'll do a full pack. We know there's a difference between Cedric Mullins and Ramon Arias. Cedric Mullins among any of those guys. Joe Flacco is a Ring of Honor rape. Somebody asked me recently, I have not done any work on this. It's been a couple years since the Ravens put somebody in the Ring of Honor. And I have had opinions that, I think Sam Cooke should be in the Ring of Honor. I think he's worthy of that. At this point, the fact that they haven't put him in, it would suggest to me...
Is he still on the staff? Or
no, he is no longer on the staff. It would suggest to me that they've just decided that Sam Cooke isn't a Ring of Honor guy, and that they want the Ring of Honor to be more of their absolute legends. And it's a weird... I didn't intend to go down this road. We'd end up talking about this for 30 minutes, and I don't want to do that. It's a weird place for them to be, because the last 5, 6 guys, undoubtedly, hang on, I got the list now. Terrell Suggs 2 years ago, Marshall Yonda, Haloti Ngata, Brian Billick, Ed Reed, Todd Heap, Ray Lewis, Jamal Lewis. The last, really, if you include Stover and Ogden, that's 10. The last 10 foundational, unquestionable parts of the history of the Baltimore Ravens. Before that, Peter Boulware, Michael McCrary. There, obviously everybody brings up Ernest Biner, but we know what the story is on that. But you started with Boulware and McCrary, and those are guys that were really good players, but not necessarily foundational Baltimore Ravens. So you end up in this weird spot. Do they believe they've course-corrected the Ring of Honor to say that Michael McCrary comparable guys will never be in the Ring of Honor again. Because Michael McCrary comparable guys could include Derek Mason or Anquan Bolden, players like that. Peter Boulware was a draft pick who, that gets a little bit different for Peter Boulware, but still, like a Peter Boulware, I'm trying to think of who would be a comparable Peter Boulware in recent years.
He was on the Super Bowl.
He was on the Super Bowl team, and that does make it more complicated. He was a
a
regular Pro Bowl.
Who was the last one to go in?
The last one that went in was Suggs.
Okay.
Like Boulware was, I don't want to say Jimmy Smith was not a regular Pro Bowler to make that a comparable. Like maybe there hasn't been a Marlon Humphrey might be a comparable Peter Boulware. And maybe Marlon Humphrey has put himself in the definitive Ring of Honor guy at this point.
What year?
Yeah, I think Marlon
9?
Humphrey's definitive at this
9?
point. I do think he's definitive. I don't think that's a question any longer.
10.
I think he's
10 for Marlon Humphrey. That's crazy.
My God, yeah, he was 25th. No, he was 2017.
2017. He was 17.
2017.
Okay. Mosley was 16.
Yeah.
Okay. What's C.J. Mosley? He's not.
But Marlon Humphrey is, I think, to me, become foundational. I do think he's a foundational Raven. Ronnie Stanley's probably in that territory of the current guys. But I have had that opinion that Sam Cooke should be in the Ravens Ring of Honor. Like, to me, he was a franchise type of player, just at a position that we don't. And it's so weird if we measure by Pro Bowls, all pros. Punter's a tough place to break through, man. You only get one. Like, Sam Cooke was at the top of his game for a very long time and was a huge difference maker for the Baltimore Ravens. I feel strongly. I also wonder if 2 years ago they decided that Joe Flacco was going to be their next Ring of Honor guy, and the guy just hasn't retired. Like, he just keeps.
They should do it week 2.
Right? That'd be a funny week for that to be the case. I don't think they're going to do that.
Flacco, you can't go into the halftime locker room.
Sorry,
you can't go into
man.
the locker room at halftime.
I don't think that's going to happen.
When's Tucker going in?
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to happen. I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, Ray Rice would have been a Ring of Honor guy, right? Like, for sure he would have been. But obviously not going to happen. I assume at this point Joe Flacco is the next one, just because they've had the last 2 years. If they didn't put anybody in last year, they're not putting anybody in this year. They've had that opportunity. If they thought that a guy like Sam Cooke was worthy of it, or a Jimmy Smith, or anybody like that, I just think they've decided that they are upping.
They won't go back and put in like Chris McAllister and.
No, I mean, if they were going to do that, why hasn't it happened?
I don't know. Why did it take? Like Joe Orsolak finally goes into the.
But that's the Orioles Hall of Fame is not the same standard as the Ravens Ring of Honor. The Orioles Hall of Fame is like, hey, who's a guy that we're cool with that we just like. It's always been different. And they always, like, to them, it's always important to have a luncheon as much as they can. It's about the event. It's about all of that. It's just not the same thing for the Orioles Hall of Fame. It's weird to me. And it just makes me wonder if they've quietly said, we've upped the ante. We have changed the parameters. There will not be another Michael McCrary that will ever be in the Ravens Ring of Honor. It's one thing that we know there's not going to be another Ernest Biner. Everybody knows that. And I guess that Ozzie Newsome has just said you're not allowed to put me in, like, because I'm still involved. And Ozzie doesn't like recognition anyway. Like, that's just sort of who he is. I assume that, like, they've approached him after he retired as GM to say, hey, now would be a good time to do this. And he was just like, nah, if I'm going to be involved with the team, I don't want to do it. That's just my guess. I haven't spent any time knocking around about that. But somebody did ask me about it recently. I guess because they found out about the 30-year and the 30th anniversary celebration and the 25-year reunion that they're doing this year, but no Ring of Honor weekend again this year for the Baltimore Ravens. I had a bunch of other stuff that I was going to run through. All right, let's try to knock some of these things out quickly. Today's show also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Of course, love Live Casino and Hotel. The best place to watch all the major sporting events is inside sports and social at Live Casino and Hotel. The 100-foot media wall, great food, just steps away from the FanDuel Sportsbook. Could not love that place anymore. All right, on my list, 1. Yeah, we talked about Daniel Jones. That's insane to me. Absolutely, utterly insane. We just talked. Who do we have on? We're talking Colts recently.
We had on Venturi.
Yeah, Rick Venturi. I'm like, what? Why? Why would you ever start? Like, in what world are you signing up for this?
So is
and
it like
if Gregg Rosenthal's point is correct, which is that like they could never overcome it again with Anthony Richardson after he took himself out of a game, and like to an extent understand, then how in the ever-loving F was this your quarterback competition?
So is it like it's too difficult? Like they've got 2 chances if they pick Jones, whereas if no, I don't know. Like if they were to start Anthony Richardson, he goes, starts 0-3, and then they bench him, then there's no coming back for Anthony Richardson, right? Like then there's definitively.
I don't really know how there's any coming back for Anthony Richardson from this. As Greg pointed out, like the most likely scenario now appears to be that like they try to trade him or something. Yeah. Like how do you come back from being benched for Daniel Jones?
The Steichen quote was weird, where he's like, he's our season long quarterback.
This is our quarterback for the season. There are still some Daniel Jones truthers that exist. And I'm just like, dude, I got nothing for you, man.
I mean, he hasn't. Did he even play in the second preseason? Not Daniel Jones, but Richardson.
I don't know.
But he did not look good against them. Obviously, he got hurt, but like
Daniel Jones will be the Colts starter.
More his fault than anything.
Griffin wants to tell you, because I've seen it in his likes, that John Wall officially. When was the last time John Wall played in the NBA?
This decade.
Was it? Are you sure it was?
I think so.
I don't feel like it was. How absurd.
With the Clippers.
He did?
Team, yeah.
It was
probably
in 2023.
Yeah,
okay.
2023.
John Wall wants you to know he's retired, which...
Thank you, John.
We
appreciate you.
The NBA informed him some time ago, but he's going to let you know now. I don't care at all about the Washington Wizards. John Wall was fun for like a minute. That's all I got for you. I got nothing more than that on John Wall. Fun player for a minute.
Forever Wizard.
Sure. And then some Orioles fans that are mad about this, I could not possibly care less. The Orioles announced that Barstool personality Frank the Tank is going to be a guest Mr. Splash this weekend. And is it weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because he's like a Mets fan, right?
Well, his entire identity is the Mets. And, like, look, man, this is where Glenn Clark, I don't care about Barstool the way that some of you guys care about Barstool. Like, there are people that do work for Barstool that, like, I think the guy Big Cat is pleasant. I think PFT commenter is extraordinarily funny. The next time Dave Portnoy says something funny will be the first time that Dave Portnoy has ever done anything entertaining to me. But I love the fact that he donated money to to keep the pizza shop open. That was great. But his content has never interested me in any way. He's not funny. He's not entertaining. But I get it. People like him because he's an asshole. I understand that, like, we like assholes.
Maybe you should try it.
But it's weird. He's an asshole, but he gives away money. I'm not here to judge. Whatever. His content is he's an asshole. But he's not funny. He's not he doesn't entertain me in any way. I don't even remember the guy KFC. For like 5 years, people would send me this guy's videos, and I was like, what is the point of this? I don't even know. That company has 6,000 creators now. I don't
scumbag Arditi.
Well, that guy, I don't care for him. I don't care for him at all. But that's the thing. I like people that I see their content. It's good. I don't care who you work for. If you make good content, you make good content. I like who's the goofy guy? That works for Barstool. The really goofy guy. He's got like a weird face. You know who I'm talking about. He's Southern. Mincy? Is that his name?
Sure. I mean, there is a guy named Mincy.
That guy's...
Unfortunately, I mean, I have no...
Every now and then I see one of his videos. I'm like, all right, I can see why people enjoy this. I can get that. I understand Frank the Tank because I have seen videos of him watching Mets games, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get why people enjoy this. I do. I get it. It's not for me. I'm never going to be the guy sitting around and watching it. But when it's come into my world...
I think this was one.
It's a bad day. It's a bad day.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, that guy.
Jersey Jerry, is that him?
Jerry, yes.
Yeah, Jerry.
But that's the only thing I know about him is that he pooped his pants. The only thing I can tell you about that guy is that he pooped his pants. But good for him. He seemed to do very well with pooping his pants. This is not even a knock. I I get why there are people that enjoy Frank the Tank, because only based on what I know is him rambling about the Mets and just being incoherent. And I can see why people find that fun. The Orioles are going to let him be a guest splasher. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I guess it'd be weirder if they were playing the Mets and he was like openly rooting against the Orioles. Like, that would be insane.
Well, obviously, the Mets need the Astros to lose this weekend. So
do they?
No.
Like, that's part of what makes it weird. It's like, why would he be here? Like, what is the connection here? What am I missing?
So you're worked up about it as well. Okay.
I'm not worked up. I just don't understand it. Like, he's just unless there's something I don't know. To me, the only thing I know about the guy is massive Mets fan. That's it. List of things. So I'm largely indifferent. There's some Orioles fans. If you check the comments, a lot of Orioles fans are like, "Dude, what the F?" Like, I mean, maybe there are people that, like, when Derek Queen was the guest splasher, they're like, well, we don't care about basketball. I don't know.
Pretty damning here.
Boy, that ain't great. That's not great. Apparently, Frank the Tank tweeted Cedric Mullins is pure trash after being dealt
2 days ago.
And I don't care for that. I don't know enough about the guy. I'm not going to get worked up about it. Is it a weird choice? Yeah, it's a weird choice. Is it, hey, we think all young people are into Barstool, so we have the chance to have a Barstool person here. Maybe that will get a few more people to show up to the game. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If somebody from Love Island was in town, it wouldn't be for me, but the Orioles might say, well, let him be a guest splasher. Not everything is for me. If the guy shows up wearing Mets gear, then I don't think that's cool, but I have no idea. I just can't imagine being worked up about it. Like, who is this going to ruin your experience? Like, I was going to go to the game, but now that I know one Mets fan is going to be there, I refuse to go to the game. Like, who cares?
Smart.
Who cares?
Checks out.
And the other thing I had on my list, I wanted to get to it yesterday. We ran out of time. It's going to happen again today because we're never going to do a 1-hour show. Were you aware?
Of course I was.
That you could bet on the Little League World Series?
No, I wasn't. Well, who you got? I'll go with
I don't know how to feel about this.
I mean, I'll go with Chinese Taipei, right?
I got an email from oddspr.com yesterday. It reads, every year, Little League World Series odds stir up quite a controversy, but 2025 has gone to the next level. The virality began last Thursday afternoon when Little League issued an official statement on its X account saying that there is no place for betting on its games. It also said that, quote, no one should be exploiting, unquote, children for, quote, their own personal gain, unquote. Tweets were flying about the ESPN and sponsor dollars Little League receives, I guess suggesting that they're being hypocritical, as well as the CEO's compensation. But that's a conversation for another day. Today, we have updated odds. Oh, this is coming directly from BetOnline, apparently. This is the PR company that represents BetOnline. Today, we have updated odds to win the tournament, as well as game lines for the 8 undefeated teams in action, all courtesy of betonline.ag. This marks the 5th consecutive year BetOnline is offered at Little League World Series odds. The online sportsbook is also posting betting lines for marquee high school football matchups every week this season. So why do they do it? Quote, we offer Little League World Series game lines and futures because there's a clear demand for it, unquote. BetOnline.ag brand manager Dave Mason said, quote, our customers request these markets annually, and we've already seen thousands of bets on this year's tournament. We don't force it on our customers. Heck, we don't even send out a Little League World Series promotional material. These games captivate audiences on national TV every summer, and we simply provide an option for people who want to watch and wager on these remarkable athletes, unquote. And I'm bringing this story up because I am telling you genuinely, I have no effing idea how to feel about it. I am really struggling with this one. Because this guy's quote, wanking, I think we've had this guy on the show before, wanking motion. Well, people just ask. It's not our fault that people want to bet on the game. Inherently, it absolutely does feel like you shouldn't be able to bet on Little League World Series games. Inherently, it feels like that's wrong. That shouldn't exist. And to be fair, it only exists with these offshore, I guess maybe Polymarket offered it at one point. But BetOnline is not based in the U.S. It's based in like Aruba or something. Like, it doesn't exist with any of the major, the FanDuel, DraftKings, those types of regulated companies. But inherently, it feels wrong. The points they're alluding to about like, oh, you don't think these kids should be exploited, but, the CEO of Little League makes six figures, and ESPN's definitely selling advertising in the game. Like, I understand. There's something to be said for that, too. And, like, I want to be a free market guy. I want to be the... This doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it should exist. But, like, do I want to cast stones upon them and say, you're evil, like what you're doing? I'm really struggling with this, man. Like, this was presented, and I was just like, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know whether or not it's okay that you can bet on the Little League World Series. Because what you really don't want is a kid getting the death threat messages that we know that professional athletes get about someone's parlay. You don't want anyone getting those. That shouldn't exist. And it should be pretty easy. I don't know how we've gotten to the point where, like, we can't root this out by saying we're going to find you, we're going to arrest you, you're going to go to jail if you are threatening someone in their DMs, on social media. If you're participating in that activity, you're going to go to jail. We're not going to pretend this is cute anymore. I don't know if you read the ESPN story last week. It was a very deep dive into the history of, there's a term for it, a specific type of catfishing that
I did see that story. Yeah, that
is happening out of Africa, where they are directing the catfishing towards high-level high school athletes, and it has led to multiple suicides. They've gotten these athletes to send naked pictures and then said, either give us this amount of money or we're going to send this out to everybody you know. And it's disgusting. And it's disgusting with everyone, but at least when it's with adults, they're adults. When it's with children, these people should have a special place in hell. They should all go to hell, but these people should have a special place to rot in hell. We should be allowed to participate in the firing squad. Crimes against children should all be, I know that somebody's going to say you're being hyperbolic and it's wrong. Like, crimes against children should all lead to the death penalty. And I don't care what the crime is. If you're committing a crime against a child, if the child is your victim, death penalty I don't really mean, but, like, there should be no coming back to society. Ever. You're committing a crime against a child. It's a more complicated conversation than that, I do understand.
I mean, yeah, it seems like objectively this...
objectively, there shouldn't be betting on the Little League World Series. But where does that stop? Because the point is correct. Somebody's making money off these kids. ESPN doesn't give them a week's worth of airtime as a donation.
And, but it's also, though, I think, they're kids. They can't possibly be, able to, like, make the decision. But I don't think any kid 10 years, 20 years later regrets it being able to play on ESPN as a 12-year-old.
That's the idea is that, like, well, hey, it's good for them because they're getting this opportunity to do something never done before. Now, that leads to terrible things, too. Somebody makes a mistake in a game, even if there's no betting, they're going to hear about it, and that video is going to exist forever. They're going to be reminded about it when they go back to school. It sucks. Which is why this whole thing gets clouded and why you end up kind of washing your hands of it and saying, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this. Inherently, I don't think you should be able to bet on Little League World Series games. And I do think that there should be more shame. This guy nakedly hiding, well, people want to do it, so... I mean, I guess we're just going to let them do it. Like, that doesn't fly. There should be more shame. But it's not, outside the laws.
Yeah, I know. At least it's
like I don't know.
FanDuel and DraftKings,
I don't know what we do.
The corporate books aren't doing it.
Yeah,
I don't know how you regulate. You can't regulate the offshore.
I don't know what to do about it. Ugh, it's gross. We'll come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We'll get to, but to wrap things up. Today's show is brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone. Everything is happening. Like this week, I know St. Francis is playing a game on, speaking of ESPN, they're playing a game on ESPN2, I think, down in Florida this weekend. High school football season is upon us. And find all the latest scores, schedules, rankings, updates, every team, every sport, every school, everywhere you are, by going to countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't, I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantafalo's family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner, same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1970. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
This August, give your game day an upgrade at Live Casino. Enter to win an ultimate football package. We're giving away over $50,000 in game-changing prizes on Friday, August 29th. Earn entries daily for your chance to score a 100-inch TV, a state-of-the-art soundbar, and so much more. Don't sit on the sidelines. Make your play at Live Casino at Erndale Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolko profiles Ravens running back Derrick Henry and how the football legend has proven to be a unicorn at the position with the success that he's found after the age of 30. Also inside, Brandon Schwartzberg looks at Kobe Mayo's push to find rhythm at the big league level. And we mark the start of the college football season by meeting players from all 4 FBS and FCS programs throughout the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
John says there has to be a regulation with the Gambling Commission in each state that should be able to forbid gambling on sports played by minors. I doubt every state that has gambling on sports allows this, and I think that's the problem. The problem is when it's these offshore books, there's just no... Like what do you do? How can you have any governance over offshore books? I've never, because there was a time where it felt like you, in some states, you couldn't access the websites of offshore books. I don't know enough about this topic to know what to do about offshore books. Because undoubtedly, I agree that it's wrong. I just don't know what you do about it when it's not regulated. Is it we are banning, like, if you play on this website, you've now committed a crime? And so we're going to come after you, and that's how we get rid of anybody in America playing on bet on until they're willing to abide by these rules. It is more complicated than I want it to be, and that's why I was more inclined to just sort of lay off the topic because it's not easy. The only thing I can say is definitively you shouldn't be able to bet on Little League World Series. And to John's point, high school games either. You shouldn't be able to bet on any of those things. Nothing involving children. I don't know if you can bet on the spelling bee. You shouldn't be allowed to bet on the spelling bee. Nothing involving children you should be allowed to bet on. Now, somebody would say, hey, if there's a 16 or 17-year-old tennis player playing a professional match, you can bet on that.
Yeah, the 17-year-old boxers and
yeah, I mean, like
fighters,
there's gray area here. I acknowledge that. Now, at some point, you're signing up as a professional, and your parents have to be involved in that choice, and like that does impact that a little bit. And so I think there's, I guess there's probably people that haven't quite turned 18 yet that are playing college basketball.
Sure.
To start the season anyway. Cooper Flagg, I think, was one of those. I don't know. It's not perfect, but you should be able to solve the problem at least a bit. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by the print issue of Press Box, which is available for free. Right now, it's got Derrick Henry on the cover. Great story from Bo Smolka about the unicorn that Derrick Henry is with the success that he's finding at the age of 30, or past the age of 30 now as a running back. Also, a lot of fall college sports stuff in there. Meet athletes from the football teams at Maryland, Navy, Towson, Morgan, as well as soccer players from places like UMBC and Loyola. All inside this print issue of Press Box. Go get it for free today or read it all at PressBoxOnline.com.
All right, so I was going to do that Orioles lineup from the Chris Tillman start.
Oh, right.
Through a bunch
Crap,
of pitches.
I forgot about that.
It'd be tough for you, but I mean, it'd be fun to do.
All right.
But I was going to do a different one.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Because Jonas Schaefer pointed out yesterday, after Joe Flacco was named the starter for the Browns, Flacco's last start in Baltimore came in November of 2018, when they lost to the Steelers 23-18. Who was the starting offense?
Come on, man.
It's 2018. It's a lot less than 13 years ago, like the Tillman game. Should be easier.
Sure.
Flacco was your quarterback, so you got one.
Yeah, thank you. 2018. That is post Justin Forsett.
Correct. That is post.
Is that
post Forsett.
Alex Collins?
Alex Collins.
Because it was pre-Mark Ingram. Yeah.
Flacco quarterback, Alex Collins was your starting
still
running back.
Kyle Juszczyk?
Nope.
No Kyle Juszczyk. Was there a fullback at all?
There was.
Was it Ricard?
It was.
Okay. How about... Oh, boy.
So they had listed 2 starting receivers and 1 starting tight end.
Starting tight end, Hayden Hurst.
Nope.
Starting tight end, Max Williams.
Nope.
Nick Boyle.
Nick Boyle was your starting tight
end. Receivers for 2018. I feel like this was a down receiver year.
Yeah.
Is this Michael Crabtree?
Crabtree was one of the starting receivers.
Is this Seth Roberts?
Not Seth Roberts. Was this a Seth Roberts year? I think Seth Roberts was a Lamar year, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this became a Lamar year.
It did, yeah, but I think
maybe
Seth Roberts did join late? I'm not sure.
John Brown?
John Brown was the other starting receiver, yes.
Wow.
Brown and Crabtree.
My next guess was going to be Willie Snead.
Yeah, I think he definitely played, but he was like the slot, so he didn't list him as a starting receiver.
You're not going to ask me to do the offensive line.
Oh, I
right?
certainly am.
You son of a bitch.
Just 5 of them.
Holy F. Well, Ronnie Stanley.
Ronnie Stanley was not active for this game.
I'm effed.
Who was your starting left tackle? See, where's he at now?
I'm trying to think of guy. Jermaine Illuminor.
Boom, you got it.
Really?
Yeah, Illuminor. Is he a Jet now, or he was?
Is he still?
Oh, he's a Giant. That's what he is.
Wow. All right.
He's blocking for Jackson Dart, or sorry, Russell Wilson now.
How about? Well, that's still Marshall Yonda.
Mm-hmm. Yonda was there. Right guard.
That would be, oh, God. Center. The center is Jeremy Zuda. Center is Ryan Jensen.
No.
Center is Matt Skura.
Yes, Matt Skura was your center.
Oh, God, two more.
Yeah, Zuda did rejoin the Ravens practice squad in 2017, so it's
Okay.
not too far off.
But
no, not him. So you need a left guard and a right tackle.
Well, Orlando Brown.
Orlando Brown Jr., yes. So that was his rookie year, right?
Yeah,
2018.
same draft, yeah.
So by the end of the year, they had several rookies. Because it was Lamar, Orlando Brown, and Andrews and Hurst were both playing more in the second half of the year.
I just didn't know if Orlando Brown was starting.
Who is your left guard?
Left guard. Man. All right, give me something because it's late.
Let's see. What can I give you?
Just
about
quick,
this guy?
quick, man. Come on.
Hold on. Let's see if there's
No,
any possible
just
way.
quick. Something.
Let's see. He was a fourth-round pick in 2016 out of Nebraska. Played 2 years with the Jets before leaving football after 2020.
Oh, Lewis. Alex Lewis.
Alex
Lewis.
Alex
Yeah,
Lewis.
Bill Lewis' son. Yeah.
Left guard Alex Lewis. There you go. You nailed it. That was
All
a heck of an offense surrounding Joe
Yikes.
Flacco in
Yikes.
2018. No wonder they started 4-5.
Tubular brought to you by the Maryland Cycling Classic, marylandcyclingclassic.us, coming up September 6th in Baltimore. Here is what's coming up tubular-wise. I'm late making a phone call. I forgot I had a 12:30 phone call. This didn't go well. Tomo Sagano on the mound for the Orioles tonight against Walker Buehler and the Red Sox. That's on Masson at 7:10. Everything else, find at glennclarkradio.com. Anything non-sports-wise?
Yeah, I mean, we saw the preview for it before the show. I was getting fired up. I started running around the studio.
America's team, right?
America's team,
Yeah,
the
with the
Gambler and his
Cowboys on
Cowboys.
Netflix.
Jerry
Yeah,
Jones.
I'm good.
That's on
I'm
good.
good.
Netflix. This one looks good, though,
Thanks a
too.
lot.
Stalking Samantha on Hulu. 13 years of
Sure.
terror. So this girl named Samantha was stalked for over a decade, and then she was kidnapped and chained to a soundproof bunker by this freaking psychopath. I was cursed by this psychopath. It looks really scary. So
All right, very good. Thanks today to Gregg Rosenthal. Thanks also to Peter Schmuck. I don't know why I was blanking. We'll get it up in the greatest hits section of the
Galveston.
tab at Glenn. We got to come up with tab at glennclarkradio.com. Tomorrow, we are going to start at noon. Is that the plan?
That is the plan.
We will be live from College Park at Maryland football practice, scheduled to be joined by Mike Loxley, scheduled to be joined by new AD Jim Smith, and I think a player or two might be stopping by as well, as we are just over a week away from the start of, I guess technically the start of college football season is this week with week 0, but for everybody around here, the following week, week 1. All right, very good. Thanks, everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, the Maryland Cycling Classic, the Maryland 5-Star, Game Day Men's Health, County Sports Zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, as well as the Costas Inn and 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks.